Okay, now we are live. Today our topic is role of HSE in structural engineering. Today's session is very interesting because with us today is one of the interesting personality. I call him pioneer of Facebook live sessions, and I feel honored and valued that because of him I started these live sessions, and I dedicate my live HSE talk with Kadir Mahmood Sumro to him because he is the one who always encouraged people to learn new things, develop their skills, and again pay back to the nation. So without wasting the time, I would like to invite our brother, and I have a lot of relations with him. So I call him social activist, career counselor, civil engineer, person who loves humanity, the person who's coach, mentor, teacher, and son of the soil. Let's welcome Ada Max Memon. And Ada Max Memon, welcome on board. And you are live with us. And we really feel proud that you took time from your busy life. And I feel valued that we are together here. So without taking the time, please introduce yourself and let's start the session. Role of HSE in structural engineering.
Well, thank you, Kadir, giving me such an honor to talk safety on your platform. As you already mentioned, my name is Max Memon. I'm a civil engineer, graduated from Iran University in civil engineering. Then I had a couple of years experience in Then I get the immigration to Canada and I did masters in civil engineering from Ryerson University, Toronto. And since 2006, started my career in Canada as junior civil engineer. And from junior civil engineer, I went to the lead. And currently, I am a registered professional engineer, province of Alberta, and in province of Ontario. I have more than 17 years in the field of design, construction, and management.
Sir, welcome on board. I need your voice to be more strong because today you are a speaker. So now again, you are the host, you are the guest. Your voice should be more strong. So I hope today's session will be very interesting as you are the seasonal professional and a well experienced person in structural engineering. Before we start, I just want to understand what is the difference between civil engineering and structural engineering.
So when we started our first day in university, the first thing I learned is civil engineering is mother of all the technologies. So that was first introduction of myself to civil engineering. As said, if civil engineering is mother of all technologies, then everything encompasses through civil. So you can be civil can be a irrigation engineering, it can be a transportation engineering, it can be designing the aerospace, can be designing a model of cars, the body, basically the design engineers, which are the civil engineers. It can be structural engineer. So basically, that is the broad spectrum of a civil engineering. But particularly if we talk about civil engineering and structural engineering, civil engineering basically related anything on the ground, structural engineering anything above the ground. So, for example, if we are designing the roads that gonna go on the civil engineering side, or designing the ponds that goes to the civil engineering side. If we are talking about land go to the civil engineering side, structural would be anything which related to the structure. It can be a bridge, it can be even a bridge as a structure. Uh, any manifolds, anything related to uh, what we call it, either a building or a living space where a person can go is
Excellent.
categorized as a structural site. So that's a title difference, but basically, as I said, civil is the group where all other groups come in. Like this, civil engineering is a roundabout where all roads connected to.
Adamix, we would appreciate if you can speak loudly because some people are saying Mr. Make's voice is a little low. So we
Okay,
need
I'll try.
your
Now it's okay.
yeah, more
I
better, more better.
okay. Okay. So let's loudly speak. As you know, I have like a migraine today, right? So otherwise, I can roar like a lion, but I can't. So bear with me and sorry for inconvenience, guys.
No, no
If you
problem,
can't
sir.
hear me
No problem.
properly,
Now it's okay. I know that you're not feeling well, but I appreciate your support as usual. So, sir, now we would like to know what do you mean by a concrete building structure and steel structure? So, what is the difference?
difference as it says, concrete and steel. So any civil engineer know that concrete is strong in compression. Is strong in the forces which stand with the compression. This is the property of the concrete. Steel is a component of tension. So steel is a tension member basically. So that's the basic difference between concrete and steel. Steel is made of iron, right?
Excellent.
Concrete is made of three different components: aggregate, water, and the cement. So these are the different proposition of a steel and a concrete. Building design of a steel and a concrete is the same. There isn't any difference between when we talk about the design of a structural building through steel or concrete. But definitely, it cannot be a difference when it goes to the construction methodology. Construction methodology of steel is a different because there we use nut, bolt, and a welding versus concrete. Mostly in the concrete, we do the monolithic construction, right? We connect the rebars and then we pour the concrete in it. So it will be a one pure construction. But there would be, it's not like 100% true. We have a composed of the building which consists of the steel and the concrete together, where we have a concrete columns and the steel beams, and might be the roof would be the wood. So there is a different thing, but back to your question, this is the basic difference between concrete and the steel. So steel is the tension member and the concrete is the compression member.
Thank you. Now I would like to ask you that whenever we talk about the structure, so we talk about stability, we talk about strength, and we talk about
If you
the
want
rigidity.
more, I can elaborate more, but that would be the sufficient, I guess.
Okay. So, for example, if we are building a structure and we develop one good structure and now people are using it, but if you see in the worldwide, some structures collapse or there are failures of structures. So, in your experience, what are the causes of these? Ramesh, can you hear me?
There is a two type of failure. One is the engineering failure. One is the yes. So can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. So there would be a two type of failures. One is the engineering failure, and the second is natural causes. So what is the natural causes? Would be earthquake, cyclone, right? So those could be the reason of the structural failure. Then we have engineering failure. We have a bad design, means the structural engineer does not design properly that building or a structure. Second, faulty construction would be the reason, right? When it goes to the construction, people didn't follow the right procedure to construct the building, did not see the drawings properly, don't know how to interpret those drawings, and they construct the building. The building can be collapsed. So that would be a construction failure. Then third failure would be the having not proper geotechnical information, because if we talk about any which is sitting on the ground, all the forces which will be bear ultimately by the ground itself. If we don't have a proper knowledge about the soil itself, we can have a bad foundation. If we have a bad foundation, it will lead to building collapse. So, in my opinion, there are the three basic components we need to understand: the soil itself, engineering design, and the construction. So, geotechnical, construction, and structural design. Simple as
So, what type of precautionary measures shall be taken so that this will not happen? Now, here I will not talk more about technical, as you said, but I am interested to listen. Suppose we are HSE professional, we are in the field doing some of our daily routine activities. So, suppose one foundation is being constructed. Being a safety, what should we advise to the civil engineer that what he is missing? Or, for example, you said soil testing, or you said structure erection.
safety start from you and me. That's a safety. As a civil engineer or as a construction engineer or whatever engineer, it doesn't belong to just the civil engineering or district. It can be a mechanical engineer, it can be aeronautical engineer. Safety start from that guy, that a person. He is the responsible for himself and the safety of others. We cannot say in the construction site, if we are seeing that there is a trench, people are working under the trench and they are digging it. And an engineer, a mechanical engineer, is walking by that construction site and he saw that trench, people are digging it, and he feel that that trench can collapse and these workers gonna be trapped under it. That's a responsibility of that mechanical engineer to talk to these folks and say, hey guys, look at that. That's not safe to do that. Or he should talk to the construction supervisor. So that is not the thing that, oh, this is, I'm a mechanical engineer. That's not my responsibility. As an engineer, this is our duty to see when we see anything is not safe, is a harm, we should intervene. Most of us, we don't intervene. We just see the problem, but we don't intervene. We thought that this is the Kadir Mehmood Sumro's job because he is HSE professional. This is not ours. No, that's the wrong perception. That is every individual responsibility. Not only the engineers, but everyone who is at the construction site or wherever he sees anything's happen. So that's the thing. So, as I said, the first thing is it start from me. I would like to save myself. I want to see myself to go back home to my loving family safe and sound. How I gonna do that? First, I have to acquire the knowledge of the safety. I should know what is the safety means to me, right? what are the hazards of the sites. So there should be like in most 90% cases we have hazard assessment surveys, right? We do the hazard assessment meeting, toolbox meeting before starting our shift of the construction, right? Where we checklist, okay, these duty we're gonna perform, and these are the problem we're gonna face it, or and how we're gonna mitigate it. So that is the first thing we do. The best thing is stop and think. We need to stop and think because situation around construction quickly change. We are working under the suspended loads, right? Through the cranes, right? Might be that crane is already seeing lots of load and it's in a fatigue condition. Maybe there is a bolt from the top snitch out and that load gonna hit to us. So there should be a parameters like a 25 meters radius. Nobody can go underneath of it while there is a suspended load is there, right? So, but what we do, because we never see those things are falling, we just walk underneath it unintentional, and then mishap happens. So we have to change our mind thought every day. What could be wrong? Every day I'm doing the same duty, but what else could get wrong? How I gonna be safe? So we have to change our mindset. For example, a driver, he's driving every day from A to B. He know his route very well because he is driving for 15 years. Could anything be wrong? Because for 15 years, he has no accident. Can anything be happens? No, because he knows that his route, but it can be happen. Maybe tire can bust. Maybe there is already an accident and he is on a 60 km per hour every day. He is going on the same speed. He couldn't see that blind spot. He can hit that guy too. Maybe there is a tree is falling on the road. It never happened before, but it can be happen now, right? So we have to be, even though our day to day same routine, things can change. It never happened before, but it can be happen now, right? So we have to be a more clear vision. We shouldn't be in that proudness that okay, that's never happened to me, that's not gonna happen to me. So that's the first thing. So I don't know what was your question basically, and what I said is right or not, but that's how I feel it. The safety. Your mic is mute.
You started well, that safety start with you and me. And this is a very important thing because of the behavior. Now, if we go a little bit to our, again, civil engineering or structural engineering, we sometimes use a DOCA system, supporting system, or in common language, we call it shuttering. So what type of factors cause failure of them and which may lead to serious incidents?
See, the any farm work, right? Any farm work fail where there is a more, not about the farm work. Let's go back a little bit back. Anything related to structural happens when that thing was a design. For example, there was a design for a 50 kilonewtons load to bear it, right? Load exceeded to 75 kilonewton, right? That thing will fail. So load will create stress. Stress will generate strain, and that will lead to the failure. So there is a proportion should be stress and strain, right? If that proportion is snitch out, failure will occur. Same goes with your shuttering, same goes with any farm work. If that farm work was designed for a certain load, if the loads are beyond, loads will be more than what was the design for, that failure can occur. Second, poor workmanship, right? The shuttering should be, the connection between the different parts of the shuttering should be well aligned, that it will act like a one, act as a single unit, not as a different unit, right? Because if those will act as a different unit, it will develop the deflection. Once it has a deflection, the structure of the shuttering will be collapsed. So the connection of the shuttering would be the prominent, and as I said, the load should be that much, which was that shuttering was designed or intended for.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Now, in structural engineering, sometimes we talk about word design code. What do you mean by design code, and what is included with regards to safety in this?
So we had to. So what the design code means? The design code is the practice our forefather was doing it since the centuries ago. Right? There was, because when we human evolve, we need a house, right? We know that we need a house where we can securely live ourselves, right? Previously, we were living in a teepees, right? Which called tents, you can call it. But previously, our forefathers were living in a teepees, which is made of the wood, right? You have to erect the wood in a rectangle, in a triangle shape, and you will wrap around with wood branches of the tree, and you live under it, right? So making that thing, you need a principle of civil engineering, right? So the failure occurs, right? The failure occurs. People think, okay, we previously there wasn't any education, right? So there was a trial and error. They were making it. They were seeing the failure. They were thinking why this failure occurs. Okay, this because of this failure occurs. They rectify it. They construct it again. They see the performance, but with the time that structure failed, then it is evolved. So those evolution, when there is a modern engineering comes, the government thinks that there should be a principle, there should be a laws governing to the design. So they came up with the specter of safeties. When we come up with the design, if we design any dead load, for example, that dead load is 10 kilonewton per meter square, we will make it our safety factor 1.25. We will create 25% more in it from imaginary load that it can go beyond 25%. Like I'm telling you that load will be 100 kilonewton, for example, but it would be in a real sense, it can hold 125 kilonewton, 25% more on it, right? Then we added other safety factor in that design load, which we reduce basically the factor of we increase the factor of safety, and we reduce the strength of the material. The strength of material would be there, but we think that, okay, for example, the concrete, we will say, okay, it's not 100%, but it's 85%. So in actual, the concrete will take 100% of the load, but in our design, we will take 85%. Then we will add more load on it, 25% more load on it. So these are the code restrictions in a requirement. It evolved, as I said, it doesn't come from sky, fall from sky, and people will create it by their own. No, this was their experience. If you so it remind me this ring in my hand. You see my ring in my hand? This called iron ring. So it's kind of a prestige and it's kind of a shame. Why is the prestige? When you wear this one, you feel that you are an engineer now. Why is the shame? Because I don't remember the date, but it's the early 1930s or 40s. There was a bridge collapse in our province, Ontario, not Manitoba, sorry. The bridge collapsed because of the faulty design. So what they did it, they made these rings from that iron, and they give it to each and every individual engineer who passed the exam. And that ring shows us the safety is the primary responsibility of an engineer. So whenever I step on a drawing, I should see my ring, and for 5 minutes I will think: is this design is a safe? Is this design gonna work? Is this design was intended for 100 years? It can pass more than 100 years or not. So this is kind of a reminder to each and every engineers in Canada that safety, structural safety, is the fundamental key to everything. So safety is permanent.
Yes, very well explained and a very nice example that something which is a
Anything
ring.
else?
Yes, so it's a ring, but that ring is showing us and giving us an example that if you will not do a proper designing, it will have a problem and you may have a serious accidents like you quoted for the bridge collapse. Now, I just want to ask you something regarding the uh, structural components or elements. What type of components are there in structure or elements of a structure?
In
Can you
regards to
hear
what?
me? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. The components of a structure in regards to what? A building components.
Building, we can say the concrete structures and then steel structures.
So if we talk about the building construction, for example, the main components of anything is foundation. That is the base, right? A foundation can be individual footings to lead to a huge, massive piles, right? Rough footing, there will be a plenty of those footings around you. And then there is a beam, there is a column, and there's a if there's a building, there's a roof, floor, the wall. But mostly the structural components is beam, column, piles, or foundation. These are the structural element, and also we can call it for the lateral stability. We can call it the floor. Floor also help us in a lateral swing. So if the building is swing, that will help the floor, or a roof will help too. If we don't have a bracings, that also we call it the structural component in that regard.
Thank you very much. Now our next question is, what type of hazards we face when we build structures or we install a structure? What type of hazard we may face from starting to the excavation and then up to the installation and completion of the complete structure or building?
There would be several factors which will affect any construction. Unknown sites. If we don't have a proper study of the site, if we don't know about the soil itself, if we install, for example, I'm giving you example in Karachi. Mostly when I was there, nobody pay attention on the soil itself, right? People saw the building, three-story building. Okay, we need 10 feet piles. Okay, we're gonna do it because they saw that's going on from centuries to centuries. Three-story building, 10 feet. I'm just giving you a lame example. So 10 feet 5. And they are doing it. They don't know about the condition of the soil. If the soil is a silty, soil is a sandy, soil is a clay, soil is a mix of those ones. Is a permeable soil? Is an impermeable soil? Does it take the load? It won't. Is there any boulder underneath it? Is there any competent swine underneath it or not? So they just do it, and you saw there is a lots of a building failure because not having a proper foundation. It's not about there wasn't a good column or a beam. There was a good column and a beam in a slab. They have a proper ratio of a concrete. They have a proper ratio of a steel in it. Connection is good, but it's failed due to poor foundation and not having a proper, that's what I said, not having a proper knowledge about the construction. And even though if you are excavating a trench or anything for a construction, it can collapse on you too, right? If you don't have a proper design to shore that thing, right? Shoring is a very important in the construction industry. while we are digging anything. So, right? So that can happen. Shoring, people can die underneath of digging to the foundation, right? Then, if we are talking about the concrete new need curing, right? We need a 21 days of a curing time once the concrete will reach their certain strength. If we don't have a proper curing procedure available, if we are putting more load on that beam or a column while it was a curing process, that leads to the failure. Connections, if we are talking about the steel structure, connection is a very important. What's the beam and a column, in a column in the foundation, mostly we use the bolts, right? Torque is a very important in it. The torque, when we tighten the nut bolts, that is important. If there is a connection through a welding, right? Because we have just two kind of connection. One is a bolt connection in a steel, one is a weld connection. So in the weld connection, that is very important for us to we do a sonic test on it to see if we have a proper weld is done, right? So what mostly we do, we just saw visually, okay, connection looks fine. It's not look fine. If there is a very tall buildings, if there we will see there would be a more load. We need a dynamic test on those welds first to find out any deficiency. We don't do that one. That can lead to the failure. So the connection, proper time of curing, proper connection, proper construction procedures, not having competent soil, that leads to the failure. And we should pay attention when we design or construct any building, because your rigidity, your serviceability, everything is connected dot to dot. What does dot to dot means? Means beam is connected to the column is connected to the foundation is surrounded by the soil. So these are dot to dot connection. So if any dot is not performed as we design it, that will lead to the failure. Simple as that. So we have to pay more attention on it.
Excellent. Because in steel structures, as you said, the one dot has a very big impact. Because if the dot is missing and it is not being welded properly, so it will be the weakest link that may cause collapse of the structure. Now, as we are discussing about the structure and you talk about knots, flow knots or forces there. So what is torquing and what is the role of torquing in steel structure? Do you think is it one of the safety factor which may help us to avoid a structural collapse?
Yes, torque is very important. How if we is I don't know what we call it in the Sindhi, but in the Urdu, but torque is a force, right? Which we applied on any bolt, right, to fasten it. So that force, we designed that force. It's not like we just snag tight it. Okay, we'll see it. Okay, we designed it. When we design a bolt connection, we design the torque too. How much torque we gonna apply it on that set, because there is so many types of the bolt. All bolts are different. Their capacity, the tensile capacity of each bolt is a different. So based on the tensile capacity of the bolt, we design the torque value to fasten that nut. If the torque value is beyond the tensile strength of that bolt, it will break the bolt. We will feel it. We are torquing it. We are making it tight, but that tightness might lead to a failure of the bolt, because bolt doesn't have that much capacity to withstand that force. So we have to design. So each in bolt, there is a book. You can open the book. You will see the bolt. You will see their tensile strength, and based on that tensile strength, you can design the torque. So torque is very important.
Now, when we say the torquing, maybe you are aware about the structures where we put the gratings on the structural platforms in oil and gas fields. So as we know that one of the leading cause of death in construction industry is working from height. And as we are discussing about the structural safety or structural engineering safety, so what type of hazards we may face when we are installing gratings, we are installing toe boards, we are installing guardrails, we are installing columns, we are installing beams. So this is called as a structure. So what type of hazards we may face, and being a safety officers or professionals, what safety measures we should do?
When we are working on height, we need to restrain ourselves. We have to proper PPE. We have, because I saw so many videos of UAE where people are attached with a rope, not a proper fastening procedure, right?
Anchorage point.
So we have to have an anchorage point, but we have to have what we call it. It doesn't come in my mind right now.
Full body safety harness. Full body safety harness.
That was word I was looking. Harness. We don't harness ourselves. That will lead to the our death or our injuries. Most of the injury. It doesn't come from having grating on the structure. It's not. It's coming from not having properly harnessed ourselves. So we need to have a training to working at a height. I have a 8 hours training to wear that harness. 8 hours. It took me full 8 hours day course how to wear properly harness. You tell me how much time you guys give it to your employee to train themselves. I'm not a construction worker. I'm just an engineer. But also I went through 8 hours complete day training, and that training I have to do it every 2 years, refresher course. So just to wear the harness, can you believe that? So that is the important thing, right? So I need to know when this harness was made, when the first person wear that harness, is there any deficiency in that harness? I'm buckling myself, how I gonna unbuckle myself, where should I put my harness rod in it so it will be safe, what are the anchoring points, how are you going to find out those anchoring points, how are you going to find any fault in the anchoring point. That is my job, to just wear the harness, right? How much time you guys give it to your employee to go through this one? I think what I see, what I heard, mostly in Arab country, they just say wear it and go and hang yourself at the 5,500 story building, and that poor guy is just hanging there. He don't know what to do, right? So that leads to the failure. Not having proper training, not having proper education will lead to a death, and that death is not only goes to that person, all the people who work at that project. First of all, that death goes to the guy who owns that property, then the engineering company who designed that, construction people who were there, most of all, you as a safety guy, all you guys are responsible for that poor guy's death. So we all should be ashamed if somebody is died or somebody hurt, because we knew that guy gonna hurt because of not having a proper education or a proper training. We all are accountable. So we should consider each and every individual to go through rigorous training when it comes to working with the height. So that is my take on it.
Thank you very much. The most important thing is training, and then we said fall protection, like you said, for full body safety harness, and then you talk about the anchoring point, and then additional thing is sometimes we go on the columns and beams to install the guardrails. So we need to ensure that edge protection is there so that people should not fall down. And yes, the most important thing is engineering controls, and then there are administrative controls. Now, the next hazard which we see while installation of the structure is our lifting operation, because we have to bring the load of the beams and columns and all purlins and rafters, whatever you call them. So what type of hazards we may face and what type of controls we should adopt or follow so that the lifting related hazards accident should not happen.
We in the beginning of this program, I already touched a little bit on that thing. So lifting is much more critical uh, item or procedure in any construction site. Any. So first of all, the equipment, what the equipment we are using it, is that equipment is properly designed for that kind of operation. Second, the operator who gonna use it, that machinery, is capable to do so. Does he have all the education? Does he have all the trainings which he needs? Second. Third, the maintenance of that machine. How long ago it was maintained? Is all the safety measures has been taken to make sure that this machine is functional? So these are related to that machine. Now the procedure, right? Most of sites we saw, there is a big column or a big beam is taken by a machine. There is a two guy underneath working underneath it. That shouldn't be a case. Nobody working under suspended load in any condition. You should adopt some different procedure, but this is unacceptable. A guy working underneath of that heavy load. No matter how that machine was designed, no matter how that machine is operating, it's good, no failure. But in any case, no one working under that suspended load. There should be a 25 or a 50-meter radius that nobody, while there is a machine is in a motion, or the machine is in a stationary position, but there is a suspended load, is nobody allows to work there. So that is the major thing we should do it. That procedure we should do it. And as you know, the failure occurs because
Yes.
that machine saw so much fatigue. Fatigue called the failure, right? There is so much thing we didn't do properly, maintenance of that machine. The load was exceeded than the capacity of that machine, right? So, and also footing where this machine sits, right, is properly, because all the loads is go through the machine, then it transfer to the foundation, transfer to the ground. If ground is not competent, right, one is the softest part. It looks very competent, but it's, maybe there is a softest part. As soon the machine will see the load, maybe one leg will tilt. I'm talking about the machine crane, right? One leg will be tilt, and that will leads to the collapse. So the proper footing is also important while we do this operation.
So thank you very much. Because we are almost 43 minutes now, so we quickly go to the questions if people have some questions, because we have to finish session within 1 hour. No doubt, if we will speak, we can speak all day. Okay, so here we start. We have Muslim Burdi saying great session, appreciated. Max Ba, Kader Ba, saying most welcome. And then we have another question from, I don't know what's question. Diploma civil holders can apply for immigration for Australia and Canada. I think Mr. Max is expert in this, and I think there are thousands of scholarships and immigration videos are available on Mr. Max page. And this is not the time to discuss this, but I just request you, sir, if you can say us, can a civil diploma holder apply for Australia or Canada?
If they have a 3 years diploma, and basically for any immigration, the most important factor is IELTS, English, International English Language Testing System. So if they do good in that one, they can apply for Australia, Canada, New Zealand. It's no problem.
So once we were discussing, the Haji Shamir was asking, civil execution is separate work. They have a QC department. So definitely QC department has a big role in civil engineering, and especially the structural engineering. The Max, if you want to add something
There are
on.
two things. There's a two things. One is a QA, quality assurance, right? That, and second is a QC, quality control. So quality assurance basically comes with the consultant and engineering firms. Quality control comes with the contractor at the site. So there is the two things. These are, because these are the path to make sure that everything is according to the design and specifications.
Adalias and Bhutto is saying, great session, great, thank you very much, sir. And we have Subhan Ali Dayo, great work and knowledge, thank you, Ada. Okay, we have Shah Zamanima, I am becoming an electrical engineer. Sir, how can a NIBO certificate play a role in upcoming opportunities? Okay, this is not the session, by the way, but we just said you, as you are an electrical engineer, so you are already engineer. This is excellent. And number two is that if you will do any HSE qualification, definitely it will add in your career. And then we have Naveed Ahmad. He's saying, great to see that 2 hours in the intellectuals discussion on HSE and sharing experience. Bless you, brothers. Jazakallah, Naveed Ahmad. We need somebody to ask us a good question. Okay, we have Divya Ashok. Thank you, Adi. Great session. But we want a question. Yasir Mahmood, an informative session. Thank you, Ada. Okay, now we have somebody. Nadeem Qureshi saying falling in excavated area, falling from height, slip hazard, etc. are common hazards of civil work. Yes, no doubt about that. And I think there's one guy, Durya Kumaran. He's saying opening strips and falls when we are working at height and installing the structures. Then we have again, there are no proper training, where to hook and where can't to hook. Now this is one of the critical question, because people go up and once they install the structural platforms and they go up, sometimes anchoring point is one of the biggest question because they don't find any anchorage area. Okay, another one is Nadeem Qureshi, lifelines, harness, helmets, safety shoes, PPE to save from falling, slip, trip hazard, ultimately save the accidents. No doubt about that. And then no lifting plan is a criminal effect. No doubt about that. Okay, now there's a one of the Ali Musani Saab is asking question. The normal observation at site is tower cranes at site and lifting of miscellaneous construction material and no control of people walking under. Yeah, this was one of the points which was discussed by the Max Memon, that suspended load is one of the biggest problem. Sir, you want to add something on this, Ada Max?
We already talked about it. We said in no any circumstances, there one when there is a suspended load, no one should allow underneath it. We should barricade, as I said, 25 or 50-meter area underneath it. So, and the people are saying hard hat, goggles, means a PPE. PPE is not first line of defense. It's not the first. The first thing is engineering and mechanical procedures. If so, PPE is the last thing. You are protecting yourself, okay? But that's not the first thing. So we should wear PPE. I'm not saying we shouldn't prepare PPE, but we should not rely on a PPE that PPE gonna save ourselves. The save ourselves would be the knowledge of the area, what's going around, right? To see, open your eyes, listen from your ears, right? That is the most important. Talk to your safety supervisor first before entering to any construction site. Ask them, as I said, in every construction, early morning we do a toolbox meeting where we discuss about the hazard. But if any new person is coming to the site, maybe shift started at 8 o'clock and that guy is coming at 10 o'clock, he should talk to the safety advisor first or a construction supervisor first. What hazard I gonna expect in that site? And if that guy, the new guy, doesn't know how to properly equip himself or aware himself from that hazard, he should not enter to that site. First, he should go, learn, acquire that skills, and then allow to go back to the site. Not like a person like me and just going la 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 la, la I'm going to the site, and the next day I will hurt myself. So that is the key component. Aware
Thank
and
you.
acquire the knowledge of that particular site.
Thank you, sir. Next, how many types of scaffolding can you tell me? There are many types of scaffolding. We have underhang scaffolding, we have system scaffolding, we have tube and coupler scaffolding, we have cantilever scaffolding, we have a bird cage scaffolding. So, inshallah, one day we will have a detailed session on scaffolding. Okay. There's a one question. If some worker during the work hanging on scaffolding, what is the procedure to save this guy? There's any standard. First of all, if the someone who is hanging and he fell down from the height, we have to immediately rescue him, and we have a different type of rescue mechanisms through which we can retrieve this guy to the bottom. We can use crane with the man basket to bring him down. We sometimes you use man lift to bring this guy down, and sometimes we have a special devices, vertical ropes with the stretchers and vertical stretchers to bring this guy down. So, Max, sorry if any question is out of the session, so I will just
That's totally
add it.
fine. That's totally fine.
Eric PD, basically, yes, Jabbar, you are right. Eric PD is elimination, reduction, isolation, and this control and PPE and discipline. This is a hierarchy of control. So you are right. And again, Yasser Mahmood is saying engineering controls always should be the first priority. PPE is the last line of defense. Fine. Engineering control is the strongest control, no doubt about this. But as per hierarchy of control, elimination is the first. Another question is, Dure, most critical in HSE language, communicate with foreigners who not familiar with local language. Still, body language too are risky. Agreed. Language barrier.
So
And
there are no
yes,
needs to communicate with them through verbs or through words. There's a sign language, the pictorial language, right? In the safety, 90% we can communicate other person through a pictorial graphical representation, right? We can show the scaffolding, a person can fall from the scaffolding. We show there is a manhole, there will be a fall to that open trench. We can show through pictorial things. So that is not the excuse about how we gonna communicate with the foreign speakers. So yes, language is a barrier. That's for sure. I'm not saying that language is not a barrier, but we can mitigate through that pictorial, graphicals, pictures, pamphlets, and communicate with that foreigner or that foreigner can communicate with you that this is how, if you go on this scaffolding, for example, you show the scaffolding picture, you can fall, you can show a person to be a falling from scaffolding if he doesn't have a proper harness and he doesn't have a proper mm, hanging points. Everything should go through the pictorial. So that I'm not seeing there would be a problem, but of course, language is a barrier.
very interesting question by Ada Ali Musani. Most of the times, improper coordination between different disciplines like civil, electrical, mechanical, and frequency of progress from project managers, safety goes to bottom throughout sadly. So basically, he's saying about different conflicts and the priorities of production, safety is compromised. So what is your opinion upon this statement?
Safety is a culture. Just like Sindhi, we have a culture. We wear a Sindhi topi, we wear a ajrak, right? And mostly on the Eid day, we wear salwar kameez, right? Most of the if we are talking about the Pakistani people, so 90% Pakistani people wear a shalwar kameez. Why not pant shirt? Really, you will see the people are wearing pant and shirt, but mostly people wear the shalwar kameez, and some people have a sindi topi, some people have a ajrak too. So this is outfit. Our already mind is preoccupied with that culture that on each day we will wear a shalwar kameez. But when it comes to safety, we don't have a culture. That's why we talk about civil, we talk mechanical, project engineers say progress, progress, progress. We need a progress, work, 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 right? Because he has a pressure from a client. That's why your project manager or construction manager are saying you do the job properly and hurry, right? But they don't have a safety culture. We have to promote safety culture before entering to the site. As I said in this 1 hour session, I said many times, we have to equip ourselves with a knowledge of the safety, knowledge of the hazard, proper trainings, proper tools before starting any job. That should be our culture. We so that's why I said stop and think before doing any job. Stop for a moment and think that what you are trying to do, are you able, or you have a full qualification or experience to do that job? Are you the guy who can do this job safely? If you are not that guy, please don't say yes, I'm gonna do it. Tell your construction manager or supervisor, I can do that. So we have to develop our safety culture. As I said, that will be the our routine, because this is how we're gonna save ourselves. If we are lagging behind the safety and we just talk about progress of the construction to be finished, that is totally wrong. So we have to adopt a safety culture. Safety should be the topmost priority of any project, from construction manager to a layman labor should know each and every aspect of the safety of that construction site. So once we have that culture, we will know that okay, this is the crane is operating, or I'm going to the height, or this is the open trench, or there is a what we call it the snowfall, or there is a rain. There will be a soft spot. I can be a fall. So if we have a safety culture in our mind, we already thought about those things before doing that job. For example, every day when we wake up, first we go to the washroom and do the paste of our teeth. This is how our culture is. So same with the safety. If we do the safety more oftenly, we think about the safety more oftenly, we will do it automatically. Those things. We will do the safety checks. Okay, this done, that thing done. Okay, harness done, hard head done, slip and fall done, working at height done. Everything we will do it already in our mind if we have developed that culture. So we need to think safety. As I said, safety should be number one priority no matter what.
Well, very well said. And we call it safety is an investment, not a cost. Because once an incident will happen or accident will happen, we don't know how much indirect cost we will face, hidden costs we will face. So here we go. Another question is Jabbar Khokar. It's good session, but a session should be conducted on mentoring of HSE professional. Yes, recently we did one session with Adidivya Ashok. Inshallah, very soon we will be doing more. Umar is saying that, sir, in some area we can't use main basket or main lift. Then what will we do in this case? Umar, I already shared you that in case where we don't have accessibility, so what we will do in this case, I told you we have some special devices or retractable lifelines. I forget the name of that equipment through which we rescue the people. In other words, whenever we plan the job, we have to first do the risk assessment and we have to decide, God forbid, if somebody will collapse, how we are going to rescue him. So for that, we have to do planning and additional measures to ensure that in case of anybody collapse, we can easily rescue that guy. Rizwan, we are going to height or down ladder, then safety harness should be safety harness hook or not? Okay, I think his question is, when we are going up and we want to work on height, definitely we need a full body safety harness, but it depends upon your company's procedure. Normally, whenever we are going to do our landing and descending, in that time we don't need to hook harness. because the ladder safety says 3-point contact, 2 feet, 1 hand, 2 hand, 1 feet, 2 feet, 1 hand, 1 hand, 2 feet. So this is called 3-point contact, because when you will do the hook, maybe you reduce the frequency of touch that may cause you fall. So on ladder, no anchoring, only when there's a chance of free fall or where there's no guardrail system. Irfan Saab is here. He's saying good evening, sir. And then we have Wahid Khan. Salam, both of you, sir. Regarding PPEs, what is the concept of helmet? Should someone wear if there is no work at height or overhead work, or some safety, waist safety shoes? As some cases, these PPEs are also create in hazard in some cases. Basically, I understand your question. Adamex, you want to add or I can continue?
You can continue. I can pitch in after that.
Okay. So basically, we have to see what is your company policy. Whatever the mandatory PPs are there, we have to follow. And if anybody is thinking that PP is an additional hazard, then you have to do a proper risk assessment and you have to identify whether PP which is being used for that job is required or not, number one. And number two, does it pose any hazard which may put in danger to the people? So the answer is very simple. Sometimes people say, sir, I don't want to wear the helmet because there is no work on the heights. So here there is no any reason of denying. Here we have a rule. Whenever you will enter in the construction site, you have to wear the helmet. The material can fall from top, it can come from the side way, or it can come from any of the other area. So we have to wear all the required PPs, and if that PP poses any hazard, it means it is not for the use. So we will not use that type of PP. Yes, sir, you want to add something?
Yeah, sure. So if we discuss in here all the aspects of the safety, we said PPE is not first line of defense. So that doesn't mean that you don't want to wear it, but that depend on. For example, an electrical guy is doing the wiring, or a guy the torquing the bolt, but the area is so small. If he wearing the gloves and he wants to torque it, he can't. So sometime might be he needs to take it out the gloves and connect those wires or do the torquing. Might be in some cases is okay, but first we need to discuss these things, as Lady Kadir said, to the safety personnel, that I gonna take off the gloves and I gonna joining the wires, or I gonna torque the bolt. So might be there would be a conditions where HSE profession says, okay, do it, but with carefulness. So as I said, PPE, we must wear it, because that is our last line of defense, right? We should wear it. So PPE is not only protect you, but it's also protect other person. How? If you have a visible vest, you wear it a visible vest. There is a poor condition of a visibility. I don't know how poor is in the Middle East, but in Canada mostly we have a night kind of a scenario. We don't have a night, we don't have a light too much brightness, so we should wear the fluorescence like this fluorescence shirts or visible vest, which we can see. So how it's gonna help others too? Because it's not only help you, but if you are not visible to a guy who is driving a forklift into the construction site, might be he gonna hit you, then that forklift gonna twist it and roll over and kill that driver too. So wearing a PPE not only protect you, but it's also protect other people from you. Because in the blind spot they can't see you, but when you have a proper PPE, the person asks if there is no overhead load at the top, should we wear a helmet? Yes, on a construction site, you should wear a helmet. Helmet, maybe you will trip and fall on the ground. That will protect your head. It's just like your helmet when you wear a bike. So people think that I need a helmet when I gonna ride the bike. No, when you sit on the bike, even bike is in not in a motion position, you need a helmet to wear it. Might be when you were sitting on the bike and bike is not started, might be the circumstances gonna change and you will fall from the bike, you can hurt yourself. Might there will be earthquake comes. For example, I'm just giving you a lame example. Maybe there's earthquake come and you will fall off from the bike and you hurt yourself. So helmet will protect your head. It doesn't matter if you see the hazards is there or you don't see the hazards is there. Once you are on a construction site, you should wear a proper PPE. There will be steel toe shoes, your visible vest, your helmet, your safety goggles, your gloves, maybe ear muff or protecting your ears, anything. If there is a
Earplugs.
noise in the construction site, so those things should be with you all the time, or it would be on you all the time. Not with you, but it would be on you all the time, no matter there is activity which you feel that threaten your life. As soon you enter the construction site, you should be at those things. As I said, how we gonna implement those ones once we have a culture of a safety, when we discuss more about the safety, when we discuss the value of a life, which unfortunately we don't have a value of a life because we saw so many people die in front of us. In Western world, if even a one guy got a pinch in his finger and there is a blood is coming out from the finger, 15 people will almost say, what the heck? And they're gonna stop work, they're gonna go to that worker. Even that is very small injury, nothing to be mentioned, but everyone should run to that guy and say, are you feeling okay? Oh, my heart is pumping to see you in a suffering. And so that are the feeling. But in our culture, even our arm will cut off, people say, oh, that's a minor injury. Right? So we don't have a care. Oh, one person. Oh, in this construction site, just a one person died. On the same scope of the work, 15 people died. So this is how we need to change that mindset. So sorry if my some words hurts anybody, but
No
we
problem.
are very late on the safety side. We think safety is not the things to discuss, but as an engineer, say safety should be discussed than anything else. First is the safety.
Okay, so next question we are going to have from Dure. Sir, this is a useful HSE sharing talks. Is it possible to conduct weekly basis? It's really good to refresh. Thanks to Mr. Kader and Mr. Max. HSE's responsibility. Yes, of course. We are doing, inshallah, weekly sessions, and you are most welcome.
Mostly we talk here HSE, health, safety, and environment. In Western world, it has one more S. What is that?
Security.
That's a security. So health, safety, security, and environment. HSSE.
Sir, I
So
think there is a
security
one
is
interest.
also a part of the safety.
Right. Sir, now we have one interesting question for you. And I think you can see that question on the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the good evening, sir.
So
What
a
is the
specific
process?
design formula you can find in any structural design book.
Okay.
And that will give, even a structural design book give you a strength of all the materials. If you are talking about any iron steel, any W shape, any WWE shape, it will give you the strength of that material. If you're talking about the concrete, it will give you the strength of the concrete of 21 days, 28 days concrete. So there is a formula written in each and every structural design book. You have to open any book. We in Canada we have a two books for a structure. One is a blue book, is for a structural design. One is a red book, is for a concrete design. So these two books are Bibles for any engineer who is in a design field. In that these two books, you will have tons of formulas, tons of calculations, and everything. Even I can after this session, I can put there is a webcivil.ca, web web civil civil.ca or .com. So just check it. In that one also you can freely design the structure. It's a free, means most of the structure you can design freely, but those structures are designed on American code or Canadian code. We have a different code restrictions. American has their own, our we have our own. So in both conditions, but mostly in Gulf countries they use a British code. As I might be I'm wrong, but most of the things I see is a British code. But in North America we usually use Canadian code and American.
Thank you, sir. There's one question. It's related to the safety courses. Again, if you want to start career in HSE, you have IOSH Managing Safely, and we have a NEBOSH International General Certificate. Okay. Irfan Junejo, the great Murshid Max Member, love you.
You too, Irfan.
There are a lot of people Murid.
Yeah, so Murid means the student, right? People have misconcept about Murshid. Murshid, they think the person who will wrote a taviz for them or give them a knowledge about illusions. Murshid means a person who teach you day-to-day activities, make your path easy for your future enlightenment, show you the way that you gonna be successful, whatever is your career goal, make you so confident in the race of this world, because this is the world where survival for fittest. If you are fit for your survival, you only will exist. The people who are not fit for this scenario will not exist. So the Murshid is the guy who should have an ability to teach or preach the knowledge, so a person will be fit for that survival. So that is a Murshid. So just to be clear, the concept of the thing.
Sir, thank you very much for your day, time, precious moments. I know you are tired, but you spend a good time with us. We learned new things from you, and we appreciate your time. Before we conclude, I would like to request you if you can some message to the HSE professionals so that we can going to conclude the session.
So the basic message is the same thing. Safety starts from you. You are the prime responsible of your safety and other people's safety. Before leaving home, look at your children first. Look at your wife. You look at your kids. If you are not married, look at your mom. Look at your sisters. That they are waiting for you at 5 o'clock. So once you have this mindset, you will be safe at the site. That someone is waiting for you. You are not the Rocky, right? You don't think that you are a Rocky or you are Superman. You can take everything that's going on. No, we are a human. We have a certain level to cope with it. So be natural. Do the things which you know to do it. Don't put yourself in any harm's way. Be safe and go home safe.
Thank you very much, sir. And the message is very clear that everybody goes home safe. So we conclude here. Once again, thank you very much, Adamex, for your precious time. And again, whatever the sessions I do, I dedicate each and every word to Adamex member, because I am inspired with your way of coaching, mentoring, guiding the people. And we are part of Team Max, and live HSE Talk with Kadir Memo Sumro is dedicated to you, sir. Final words before we close.
Be safe wherever you are and love yourself, because love starts from you. So love yourself and love others. Let you live, let other people to live.
Thank you very much. Nice message. Allah, take care. And inshallah, next session will be next Friday with new topic. And I hope that we will be doing a next session with same colorful men with lot of knowledge and expertise in the field. So if you want to have any specific session, write down on the comments, and inshallah I will add the website which the Max member shared with us in the chat, so that you can take for civil calculations and all this. So thank you very much. Stay blessed. See you soon next Friday or Saturday with a new topic. Thank you very much.